Evening. Welcome to the Selectmen's Meeting for July 31st, 2018. Call the meeting to order. Could I get a roll call, please?
Cindy King is present.
And Sue Licio is present. Would you all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to announce that the meeting is being tape recorded. Is anybody else taping? Okay. Chairman's additions or deletions. We have 2.5 to 2.7 appointments and 2.8, a late change order from the West Townsend, for the West Townsend Fire Station will be number 2.8. We have a public comments time. We have 15 minutes allotted. Each person will please introduce themselves and say where they live, and please try to keep it to 3 minutes apiece. Anybody want to say anything?
John Page, Smith Street in Townsend. I note that we post the agendas for these meetings on the bulletin board downstairs, and sometimes we've posted them online. It would be great if it could be a little bit more consistent, so that if they could always be accessible online. Some people, due to their location or anywhere else, can't get to the bulletin board, and to have the ease of being able to look at it online, I think would be very beneficial to everybody, and bring us a little bit more into the 2000s with technology and so forth. Thank you.
Great minds must think alike. Jim and I were just talking about that the other day. It'll be on next agenda to talk about. Okay. Anybody else?
Rick Bailey, 87 Williamsburg Road. Just wanted to inform the board, and I know this is happening in the public, of our National Night Out event on August 7th at the high school. As you may know, we did our first one last year at the library, and we overfilled. We needed more space. We have the space this year. We have a lot more people coming. I have a flyer for each of you if you want to take it, and I have some to put on the table outside for people to look at.
And we have it on the website as well, right? Okay.
If you have any questions or concerns, give me a call at the police station. I hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Anyone else? Cal?
Kelly, 5 Taurus. I noticed the water department is on tonight's agenda, again requesting to hire additional staff and have their attorney's bills paid. As a taxpayer and water taker, I'd like to see that the votes at our town meeting matter to the Board of Selectmen. In the last 2 consecutive town meetings, I believe the town overwhelmingly voted in favor to allow the water department to operate independently and allow them to hire their own attorney. I would like the water commissioners to be able to make these decisions as we have elected them. I'm concerned what the cost will be to the taxpayers and water takers if the town continues to fight the lawsuit that was brought forward by the Townsend Water Department. I believe it would behoove the Board of Selectmen to agree to settle the lawsuit with the water department and prevent any further costs to the taxpayer and water takers. Thank you.
Appreciate your feedback. Anyone else? Okay, if not...
You got another hand, Susan?
Oh, I do. John?
John Page, still at Smith Street in Townsend. Since no one else wants to talk, I want to make sure we try to get our information out there. Many times in the meetings, and I know from my own involvement in boards, you folks get a packet before the meeting to give you a little bit of background. And sometimes it's hard from those of us on this side of the table to follow some of the things. Now, I realize that a lot of those things aren't privy because of, they may not be executive session, but it may be protected for some other reason. But to also have that information available so that people can make informed comments and questions at the time that we have now allotted when they know what is on the agenda beyond just the line item that's in the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
We've used up 3 minutes.
Wow. If there's nobody else, I'm going to just go on with the meeting. Okay. Appointments of officials and personnel, votes may be taken. 2.1, appoint Alyssa M. Struthers to the Historic District Commission for a 2-year term, effective July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
Do you want me to just to save us time all the way through 2.8, do you want me to just make the motions as we go?
That
through?
would be
Rather than you
wonderful.
saying it, than me saying it, okay.
That would be
Okay.
fine.
Starting with 2.1, appoint Ms. Struthers to the Historic District Commission for a 2-year, make a motion that we appoint Alyssa Struthers to the Historic District Commission for a 2-year term effective July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2020.
Second. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2.2, make a motion that we appoint Amelia Gentry to the Conservation Commission effective July 31st, 2018 to June 30th, 2020.
Second. Discussion. If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2.3.
Make a motion that we appoint William Martin as constable for a 3-year term effective July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2021.
Second. Discussion. If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we appoint the following as elected officials for the town of Townsend for a 1-year term effective September 1st, 2018 to August 31st, 2019. For wardens, we have Paula Woodman, Betty Mae Tenney, and Jane Stonefield. Deputy wardens, we have Sharon Lacasse, Jessica Funioli, and Carol Wright. Inspectors, Joyce, hopefully I don't ruin all these names. Boys, Carol Mansfield Buxton, Jan Swesson Snap, Cheryl Simino, Deborah Stoll, Karen Clement, Elaine Martin, Barbara Wheeler, Darlene Coit, John Stonefield, Michael Foster, Linda Robichaud, Claire Culpy, Mary Shirley, Sandy Tuttle, Ann Forsman, Adam Ruska, Donna Miller, Helen Kazar, Linda Moran, Lisa Drew,
It's Lindsay.
Lindsay, what did I say?
Linda.
Sorry, Lindsay. Okay, Heidi Monroe, Louise Thorpe, Sandra Stevens, Andrea Wood, Janet Vesper, Marie Barnaby, Eno Kelpie, Jane Jackson, Peter Buxton, Jerry Lynn Bezikas, and Jean Bradley.
No, second.
More. Wait a minute, there's more. Susan Gherkin, Barbara Coburn, Pat Gemolo, and Brian Colby.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion that we appoint Kayla Temple as a per diem paramedic to the Townsend Fire EMS Department effective July 31st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019, contingent upon passing of Cory check and medical exam with a 1-year probationary period.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion, we appoint Michael Meadows as a on-call firefighter to the Townsend Fire EMS Department effective July 31st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019, contingent upon the passing of a Cory check and medical exam with a 1-year probationary period.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2.7.
Make a motion that we appoint Brendan Lawrence as an on-call firefighter to the Townsend Fire EMS Department effective July 31st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019, contingent upon the passing of a Cory check and medical exam with a 1-year probationary period.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2.8.
Make a motion that we review and approve change order number 5 for the West Townsend Fire Station in the amount of $11,091.23.
I'll second that. Do we have some discussion? Jim?
Very briefly, this is 2 different items, one for $5,863.50 and another $5,227.71. And both are to make changes to the facade to comply with the requests of the Historic District Commission.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Just need one, Carolyn?
You can sign underneath if you want.
No, if it only requires one signature, please. Do you want me to keep going with this?
I think we're done with that, because these are,
Yeah, these are all more
yeah, a
discussion.
little bit more discussion. Meeting business 3.1, request from the Council on Aging regarding a transportation administrator. Information is enclosed.
Yep, Madam Chair, we have members of the council here, and Karen, the director. Basically, what has been explained to me is that this is an increased level of responsibility for the individual that had been the lead van driver, and this isn't actually reflective of something that she will be doing new, but actually things that she has been doing well over her classification. Is that fair?
That is fair.
So you have in your packets the request, and then a copy of a draft job description, Council on Aging, Transportation Administrator, and Lead Van Driver. And you'll also see a copy of an email from the LRTA, the Transit Program Manager, saying that they support this, and with that support would come the necessary funding. Pursuant to the personnel policies in town, this wouldn't be a reclassification. It's in fact a new position being proposed, so it would be a classification. Karen and I spoke about this earlier today to make sure that we're on the same page. It's a process that I can go through with her tomorrow. We can get the position classified, and then off to you for your review and consideration at the next meeting. The hope would be to not delay it for another couple of weeks while we wait for that meeting to have your concurrence. But it's not rocket science. It's a pretty simple process to go through when you have the guidebook and the tool, the rating tool. The expectation is that with the level of increased responsibility, it's going to be higher than a grade T3. Until the analysis is done, we won't know exactly what it will come in at, but the expectation is that it will be something higher. You're probably also familiar with the fact that the policy says that if there's a change in grade, you don't just drop down to the same step in grade that you had been in the earlier grade. You get placed in the closest to but higher than salary mark. So it could be that you're at the near end of the scale in T3, it gets reclassed to a T4. You don't drop down to the end of the scale in a 4, you get placed in the closest to but higher than, such that you're not going backwards at least. If it please the board, your consideration declaring the position vacant and supporting it, and we'll get back to you with the actual reclass for your review and consideration at your next meeting.
Cindy, question? I have a couple questions. So we'll have to post the position.
Well, there'd be
If it's
an internal posting, and we
Okay.
do have an internal candidate, so we would post because we're required to by charter. But I think in fairness, there'd be a notation added that there is an internal candidate.
So are we posting it as an internal posting only, not external? Can the general public?
It's not currently it is.
Just want to know what.
It's in the middle ground between being a non-union position and a union position. This position would come in under the newly formed clerical admin union that we're not meeting until later this week to actually negotiate the first round of contract for that group. So if it was considered a non-union position, we would default to the charter alone. If it's considered a union position, we would default to the standard AFSCME contract language, which would be an internal posting first. Because there's an internal candidate, and because the charter says we're only required to post, and it doesn't specify internal or external, the expectation would be to post on the bulletin board and put a notation on it that there is a strong internal candidate.
Okay, and my second question is it funded?
It is. The additional funding would be coming from the LRTA.
Oh, okay, so it wouldn't cost us anything.
Correct.
The Lowell is going to pay for it. I like that. Do we have any more positions we want them to fund? That's all I have right
I have a question. I guess it's, why does this become a new position and not a revised?
I'd be happy to address it unless Karen wants to take it.
I think,
I saw it as a revision of a position, but I can see how it would also be seen to be a new position. We've never had the title Transportation Administrator added to anything before. It just happens to be that as the bus has gotten busier and the whole center's gotten busier, the need to have somebody specifically to administer the transportation issues and scheduling the rides and overseeing the other drivers has become very apparent. Donna has also become certified in senior driving. Through the UMass Boston, she got her certification in organizing and managing senior transportation. She did a stellar job on that. And she currently is at the very top of her grade. And I see it as a natural evolvement.
Again, why are we looking at this as a new position? Is it substantially different? Is that
I'll take a
why?
crack at it.
Okay.
I think Karen started off with the answer, which is this is a new position. We've never had a transportation administrator. The position prior to this that we're discussing was just a lead van driver. There's an entirely new component of administrative work and oversight that's being added. So
It's a new position.
It's a new position.
Okay. One other question. The current job that's called lead van driver, will that position then be going away?
No, it will be combined with this. She'll be.
That's not what I'm saying. There's two now, okay? There's two job
So there will be
descriptions.
two.
There's two jobs, all right? One is the existing one, and the other one is this one. I want to make sure we don't have old jobs that we don't plan on filling still out there.
My expectation, and Karen and I have not talked about this, is that it would be transportation administrator. Some of the functions would be the functions of a lead van driver, but because it's now administrative in nature, it is in fact the title transportation administrator. So the position lead van driver would be going away. It still exists on the classification plan. It just wouldn't be filled.
The reason I'm asking this is I remember something like this coming up. There was something left on the classification plan that hadn't been filled for some time, and rather than going through the justification to add a new position, because it was still on the matrix, we were able to just open it up and fill it. So it's like, if something doesn't get filled for 2 or 3 years or more, I don't think it should be hanging around out there. I think it should just be taken off. It's no longer a position. We don't see the need for that lead position. And if in the future it should come up that we need something like that, then fine, justify it at that point. But right now, in the foreseeable future, it doesn't sound like we're going to need that. Especially if we've got, yes, yes.
If I may, I think the magic words you said were in the next 2 or 3 years. In the next 2 or 3 years, we will probably most definitely need another full-time van driver. I can pretty much.
But that would not be called a lead van driver.
Well,
Could be.
it could be if the person who takes the transportation administrator position increases the administration duties and reduces the driving duties.
But then you're back in here to change the job description. I'm just trying to keep it
I
really
know.
nice and
I
clean.
know you are.
Okay, and it's
yeah,
not,
I get
it's
that.
nothing,
I totally
it's
get it.
nothing with you, Karen,
No, I
it
know.
really
I
isn't,
know.
okay? It's, I want to see consistency across.
I believe it.
Across town, okay? So across all the departments and stuff, and if at this point in time, that position is in fact going away, then I believe it should be taken off of the matrix.
I'm going to say no to that.
Okay.
My reasons, one, to go back to when we're talking about the change, why it's a new job. I know we already cleared that up, but I just want to read the email from Chris Curry. That's
He's the,
Yeah.
yeah.
that says, each year the state and federal governments require greater and greater detail of both vehicle and ridership data, as well as operational training and driver oversight. The transportation administrator position will help with these increased reporting requirements. I'd anticipate too, with the increasing need, the increase, as I think every chance I get, I talk about the increasing population, the aging population here in Townsend, and I can't, and not just in Townsend, but in the state and in the country, and that I can't imagine that there'll be any less requirements that are administrative. So I would, over time, expect that this position, the administrator side of the position is going to grow, and the driving need is going to also grow.
Well,
Which
yeah.
you can only do so many things at one time. Now, normally, we're not paying for the job. So I'm not, if this was an internal job, I'd be, well, you know,
All comes
I
down
might
to
go a
money.
little bit stronger towards what Sue's saying, to limit, well, you know, let's not create bigger jobs before we even get out of the gate on this one. But where it's not, it's not our money. But
Yet.
yeah. Right? Yeah, we don't have to fund this yet, we're getting, they're taking care of it. And the position, but keeping the driver position on the books unfunded and unfilled, I don't think is a bad idea because it's quasi not ours. So that it doesn't disappear, but we consider unfunded, unfilled, and that whoever's in all of these positions here, in case something changes over there, that everybody knows that it's not, you can't just create this, fund it again.
Okay, you
Unless we wanted
convinced me.
to. Okay, and as well as, you know, in a couple years, if the transportation administrator position becomes, we need a full-time administrator who's not gonna, doesn't have time to drive anything unless somebody calls out sick and there's nobody to fill it, keeping that position qualified to drive, but in the future, 2 or 3 years, yeah, you might need to come back to the Board of Selectmen at that time
You sold
and
me.
change it.
Let's
Okay,
go.
all right.
What do you want for a motion?
Before you do, perhaps you can just removing the word lead in the second sentence in job environment and in the title. That way there it's, one of the requirements is still to drive.
Yeah, that makes
But it's the administrator.
But
Then you're not combining two
And
classifications.
one of the responsibilities is to oversee the other drivers if
Right.
there are any.
Right.
Okay.
I am good with that.
So, Madam Chair, a motion to approve the transportation administrator and van driver position, subject to classification and approval at your next meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the transportation administrator and van driver position, subject to classification and approval of that at our next meeting.
I'll second that. One other question, does this go to the HR company to do this, or do we do this?
Right now, the policy reads town administrator.
Okay.
So it's your final approval, but the nuts and bolts of it is done
Okay,
in-house.
all right, thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Three two, request from the Townsend Board of Water Commissioners. We'll take these one at a time. 3.2.1, approval of a contract for Paragon Bridge Works for ancillary fabricated items related to the construction of the bridge at the Main Street Pump Station.
Madam Chair, that document was sent in electronically today by Paul, and I did have it reviewed by Lori, the town accountant. She finds it to be in order, and it's consistent with your prior vote for this project. It changes the scope a little bit, Paul, right? It's something about the way the abutments are being done, and then it adds some finish work.
The bulk of the cost is for a little bit more robust abutments due to the increase in, excuse me, can I record this part of the meeting, or?
Should we open the water commissioners meeting as well?
You have a quorum here, then,
Yeah.
sure, go ahead. You're posted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we'll call the meeting to order of the water commissioners at 272 Main Street, Townsend, Mass. July 31st, 2018 at 6:28 PM. Roll call, please.
Michael McEachran, present.
Clarence Leland, present. Paul is recording the meeting as well as the audio and video here. I have no chairman's deletions, additions or deletions at this time. And our item 2.1 is your item 3.2.1.
As I was saying, yeah, the bulk of this part of the contract is for the increased heavy-duty abutments, due to a little bit more load calculations for the chemical delivery truck. The rest of it is based, as it's stated, primer coat, top coat. The previous contract he signed was for the basic structure of the bridge.
So this is like a second part?
Madam Chair, can I speak? So the second part of this contract is to add ancillary items, bridge abutments, guardrails, primer and finish coatings, of which this second part is around $41,000 some odd dollars. It's needed in order to carry the chemicals across that bridge safely into the main street pumping station to offload there. So that was in addition to the first contract, which was for the bridge only.
So you have the money for both?
Yes.
Did you expect this?
Yes.
Okay. You expected this additional?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
we expected it more in a single cost, not broken out like this, but there's been some back and forth between our engineers and Paragon, so a little bit changes in the scope per se, as I said, due to the load calculations of the truck for the tanker. We wanted to design it for maximum load bearing, so.
Cindy, any questions?
I attempted to read, it's a lot of legalese in the contract, and I pulled it up on my computer this afternoon to kind of go through it and see what it was talking about, and most of it, of course, is over my head, because I don't know anything about bridges, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm trying to figure out the contract. You said that Lori looked at it, and she said it's an order, and Lori's our accountant. Is there any changes substantially in any of the, what I'll call the legalese, the way that it's...
Terms and conditions?
Yeah.
They're the same as they were for the first contract, which was reviewed by KMP and approved.
Okay.
So this is
that
almost
part
like a
hasn't
change
changed.
order then,
An addition.
kind of.
No, I mean, it's
No,
bigger than a change
it's
order.
not a change order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
change
it's-
order would
it's
be...
new. It's new
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
The original, I think, the chairman said was, and Paul said was the bridge, was the box. This is the revisions to the abutments to beef them up,
Right.
and then the finish coating and guardrails for safety.
Okay. Cindy, anything else?
Do we have the authority to make this approval, or is that required?
Yeah, it is
Town
required.
meeting or anything? We can do it?
No, they have the town meeting authorization already, and they do have funding sufficient to do the work. So if nothing else is of concern, it would be appropriate for a motion to execute the contract with Paragon Bridge Works dated July 13th, 2018, for $41,305.80.
Can I make a motion by what he said? 'Cause I don't have it in front of me, so.
She's got it.
Go to Carolyn. Second. What's the amount? 41?
41,305.80.
And I second that. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, Carolyn. Mhm. just one place for the signature?
Yeah.
Thanks. 3.2.2, declaration of a vacancy for a part-time office assistant.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
we are requesting that the BOS declare a vacancy for this position. Again, the workload has increased significantly that one person cannot carry the load, handle all the load for all the administrative tasks. Also, it's prudent to have another person be trained on the administrative systems to act as a backup in cases where it is needed. Right now, there is no redundancy in the water department system. And so if anybody's out, the workload has increased significantly, so there's more work than what one person can carry at one time, and so that's why we're seeking a part-time help.
Any questions? Pardon?
I'll defer to you first.
Can you just, for my understanding, and for everyone else too, what kinds of increases? You're talking about clerical in this case, right? And what kinds of work are you doing from a clerical perspective now that you were not doing before?
Well, right now, the current person works an inordinate amount of time, and so, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul.
Is there overtime being spent?
Not overtime, through the chair. Not overtime per se, but there has been changes made which kind of, improved things as far as billing, but also the current office administrator has had to balance basically 3 sets of books. We're doing Unipay through Unibank, lockbox, and cash receipts taken in through the town hall there. So she has to post and balance three different things rather than just people coming into the office or whatever, and paying in one way. That has increased, and as Lance mentioned, we need some redundancy in the office because the office administrator is going to be out for some time in the near future for medical reasons. So there has to be some time for training in that billing, which we could not do. And so under a contracted person, they couldn't perform all the duties of an office assistant, be trained in everything without going out to, and officially advertising the job.
So presently, we have had a person working as a contractor.
Yes, I think you guys talked about this before.
Right, but we were informed that due to Mass state law, that we are unable to carry that person forth because they're more acting like an employee than a contractor. So that person has been working those hours already. So now we're just asking for approval to approve that position so a person can be brought on as an employee of the water department and be in accordance with mass regulations.
So it sounds like the work hasn't really increased.
It's
Because
increased over the years, so we've had to bring in a contractor over the past couple of years to handle the increase.
No, what I'm saying is, over the last year, let's say, all right, you've had a contractor as a part-time person,
Yep.
and you have your full-time person.
Yep,
Now you're asking to take those contracted hours,
Yep.
and make that into a permanent part-time position.
that's correct.
So the net gain is zero
That's right.
in terms of work in the office.
Right.
So when you say you're busier, the busier has been taken up with the current contract
contractor.
position.
Right.
All right, so it sounds like you're saying is, if I were to do away with that contract position, I wouldn't have everything done.
That's correct. Correct.
Well, so much for thinking that changing the billing was going to help. I do have a concern, though, and that concern is, and I know we talked about this before, because I'm remembering the same things that I said, and I had hoped that I said it clearly enough, but if you have somebody that's going out for whatever reason, they're taking a trip to Europe, and they've got the vacation time, and they're going to be gone for 4 weeks, that's a temporary situation. That is not a permanent situation.
I understand that.
Okay, so in that kind of a situation, I would look to hiring temporary help and having somebody take over that part of the job. That's what I would do. Because in a temporary situation, with a temp, you're not having to worry about benefits and whatnot, because it's not a permanent position. So you have a little bubble in the work, you fill the bubble in with temporary help. I guess I'm having, are you saying that you can't keep that contractor any longer?
No, according to Mr. Kryler, it does not meet the... Mr. Kryler, can you expand on that, please?
Sure. It's actually, according to the town accountant. Town accountant had been working with Paul back and forth over this past late winter, early spring on the issue. In order to be a contract employee, there are certain things that you look at in order to see if it qualifies. If the person has a regular schedule, you're not a contract employee. If they have semi-regular duties and you're not a contract employee. That doesn't mean you can't have a contract employee, but it would involve creating a scope, soliciting quotes, truly as a contract employee, that then they can come and go, they set their hours, they may work locally, they work off-site, more traditionally what you would expect of a
Well,
contract employee.
they're more like self-employed.
Correct.
In that sense. They set their own hours, they don't necessarily answer to everybody and
Correct.
have to adhere to a schedule that
Correct.
someone else sets for
So that
them.
could still be done, but that's not what has been done. So I think that was the issue that Paul and Lori, Paul, you correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that's the issue that Paul and Lori were wrestling to the ground this spring, was that if it looks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, walks like a duck, it's a duck. So she was behaving like an employee more than a contract employee.
I understand now. So you would have to post for this position.
Yes. So we are requesting that you declare a vacancy for this position, so we can post it.
And how is that going to work with the new, you talked about the new union.
Again, we're in kind of a no man's land right now, because you have agreed to voluntarily recognize, so the Department of Labor in Boston knows that there's going to be a clerical administrative group under AFSCME Council 93 here in Townsend, but we've not yet negotiated terms and conditions. So I think we're functioning right now without a contract, although we know in short order it's going to be under a contract. I guess one question would be, and it goes back to what we just did with the Council on Aging, is this a new position? Because it's not going to be an office administrator, which is the existing title position. Is it one that has existed, to your point, just kind of hung out there on the matrix as having been previously existing, previously
Deja
under
vu.
the build? Or is it a new position being recommended?
Is it a new position?
No.
Go ahead.
Through the chair. No, it's currently, an office assistant is currently on the matrix. It was on the matrix, so it should be recognized in whatever clerical union. I don't know if, we don't foresee this position, well, we foresee this position as a part-time, so will not be benefits available for this position. So I don't know if that still comes within the clerical union.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
It would, part-timers come under it as well.
Okay, well, I mean,
Because it's based on the work that they do,
Right,
not
right.
how many hours they do
Community of
it.
interest.
Exactly.
let's, whatever, that's here, either here or there, so, but that's the gist of the position.
Paul, wasn't that position primarily a billing clerk?
Right.
But that's not what you just said it was. You
No,
said.
I mean, we can call it a billing clerk, I mean, I
No,
was...
I want to know what the title of that position that you say
Well, we
is
can stay
still in
with
the
the billing
making.
clerk then, I mean,
Well, no, I would say it's an office clerk or...
well, it's gonna have to be reclassified then.
That's my point. You can't take something that was called a billing clerk, that had a description for doing
Well,
billing.
we did provide you with a job description, how many months ago?
In January.
And was that a billing clerk? I don't have that in front of me.
I don't know what we...
My point is, if
It
it
was the
was
billing
not.
clerk, yeah.
Okay, if it was the existing old position called billing clerk with all of the responsibilities of a billing clerk, okay, then what I'm hearing from you is the same thing I heard from Karen, and that is, this is a new position that you're talking about, because this person is not going to be doing billing, because that doesn't exist in your office anymore.
No, but there'll be some posting of, there's no billing.
It's not the same job description, it's a new job description. So is your intent
The
to
office
create...
administrator's position as job description has never been changed to, with this current new billing system either.
They weren't the billing clerk. But if your job descriptions need to be updated, it's your responsibility, maybe, with the help of the town administrator, to update those job descriptions. They should, you can't evaluate somebody on performance unless the job description fits the job they're doing. It's that's just basic management stuff. So if you're talking about creating a new position, a new part-time position, and first, again, just like with the Karen discussion, I'm going to suggest that old billing clerk job get removed from the matrix, because it's no longer needed as a billing clerk. If you want to create a new position that's a part-time position that's accurate, that accurately depicts what that person is going to be doing, then I can understand that. And I would ask you to work with Mr. Krieger to have it.
Whatever we need to do to, I mean, like I say, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck.
But
so-
it's not a billing clerk. You can't
You
use
need
that
to define what the
Right.
duck is.
Exactly.
And
Office
you keep
assistant.
changing it since you've been here tonight. I mean, this sounds like I bet if we play the tape from the last time we had this conversation, it's gonna have all the same moving parts with the same questions and the same answers. That you want, whatever you keep changing what you want by saying, well, whatever it is that you want to call it that, and we just need a person. But you keep changing what the person's doing. They've gone from, they're gonna do billing work, they're maintaining 3 sets of books, which I really could sit here for half an hour and ask you a lot more questions about what do you mean by 3 sets of books, because the treasurer is taking care of most of your billing, your administrative issues, and the billing company. I mean, all those responsibilities were taken away from you, well, not taken away from you, but removed from you.
Not really, you'd be surprised, it's...
But you don't have a billing clerk, that that position was removed and laid off for lack of work, and the responsibilities were added to the treasurer's office, and they have staffing accordingly to take care of those things. If you want an office assistant, what is the work that's been added? But also, you also said, well, you want to replace someone that's going to be out on, for a reason that we really shouldn't be talking about in an open meeting anyway, but you want to backfill a position because someone's going to be out, which I have to say to...
that's not the...
That's what Paul said. That was one of the first things he said, is he wants coverage for someone that's going to be out for an extended period.
The work, that was not specifically for the job, though. That was just as an aside.
Okay, so that was,
Okay.
what you're saying then is that was to also be used for fill-in if somebody's out.
Yes.
Just like you would do in any
So like a
office.
cross-training kind of situation. Okay.
I want to see, what's the job that you're
I-
asking to
I
be
think-
filled? How many, you don't say how many hours, part-time could be 4 to 20, I think, on our, what we consider part-time here in Townsend.
I'm not ready to say no, but I'm not ready to say yes, because I don't think you're all the way there yet. I think you need to come out with what is the job description, what is the title, and what is the job description. Come back, work with Mr. Kreidler to do whatever needs to be done to be able to add that to the matrix at some point, and
you
then
have
come
to,
back
if
to
I-
us.
I want to go
Because you
back to,
can't post for a job description that doesn't exist.
and I want to be clear about going back and forth and whatever you want to call it, we'll call it that just so we can get a body. You have to, we're talking about that position falling under union. That job description has to actually meet what that employee is going to do. If they don't, they're going to have a grievance their first 24 hours. They have, you can't just, what we need to write a job description that's going to get past the Board of Selectmen so they'll finally fill that position. You have to write a job description for a job that you really need and that's actually going to have duties that that employee is going to actually do. Because you won't be dealing with us if it doesn't.
Well, so let me ask you a question, if I may. So the Council on Aging was here, and that job, that was approved, yet they're in the same position that we are.
They already
So-
have a job description written for that new position,
And we had a job description written as well, back in January.
for a new position, entirely new, because that's not what I'm hearing now. I'm hearing you want to fill the old position, which was a billing clerk.
And this one says part-time office assistant. Which one is it? You've changed your mind 3 times.
I'm going to
It's been
ask you,
sitting here.
I'm going to pass over this one right now. I'm not going to call for a vote on it, because I don't think all of the homework's been done on it. I'm going to ask you to go back and say, what is this position about? Write the job description, talk about levels, whatever, with Mr. Kreidler, and then come back to us, if not the next meeting, the meeting after.
Chair,
Yes.
I hear what you're saying. The problem I'm having is this, everything here was discussed in January. None of this issues were brought up with job description, title of job. I just don't understand the scrutiny that the water department is
Paul,
consistently...
I am
put on.
asking you exactly the same questions that I asked Karen a half hour ago. There is nothing inconsistent with what I'm saying. There's nothing inconsistent.
I could have had a job description all redone and ready to go for you by now.
It's,
Okay.
you're not doing it for me, Paul, you're doing
I
it for
understand that.
you, for your office, so that you can manage those people according to what you're asking them to do. It needs to be accurate based on what you're asking an employee to do.
I understand that, so...
Then come back to us with the job description,
Okay.
okay? So, we're done with that one. And 323 is a declaration of a vacancy for full-time water tech.
Right, so we are requesting that the BOS declare a vacancy for this position. It has been on our budget for at least 3 years, but has never been approved by the Board of Selectmen. This is problematic for us as the workload load has significantly increased since we first asked it to be approved a number of years ago, especially in the light of the regulatory burden that is posed by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and that requires many more things to be done on the water system than has been in the past decade or so. The position is necessary to help keep ourselves in compliance and to effectively serve the water takers in the town of Townsend. This job description was also provided back in January.
Well, the job description hasn't changed.
No, it
Water
has
tech is a
not.
water tech, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's just the same kind of position that you just hired RJ for, right?
Correct,
yes.
Okay. Is there any difference in terms of the technical requirements,
No, as
licensing, whatever?
it would be the same as it was for the previous water tech.
What was the holdup last time? That we didn't go in?
There was a pending vacancy with Jim's retirement, so the board back in January addressed that issue
Right.
and declared that vacant, but did not. I don't have the documents in front of me from January, but I believe it was actually a different job that was being proposed. It was it was something about being a trainee and working their way up. It wasn't a full, I could probably go pull the packet and see, but it wasn't a full-blown water tech position that was being
I'm going to
proposed.
call on Mike.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Do you remember?
It was, it still needs to be changed also because in our contract, the only thing that was put in the contract was water technician. They're a water technician trainee if they aren't licensed. So RJ is working himself up to be a full water technician. So it will be a water technician, a trainee, unless they're all licensed, then they wouldn't be a trainee.
So what,
I don't mean.
so I have two job descriptions, one's for a junior and one's for a regular? Which one are you posting?
It's a water tech, but if they're not licensed and don't have a hydraulics license or a distribution or a treatment, it's a water technician trainee, which we've been asking that we need to change that in the contract also.
What's the status of that?
Yes, as long as it's posted as a water tech trainee.
No, but I mean, you're trying to change something, is,
No, I'm not trying to change anything. We've discussed it with Jim before
oh,
on,
The issue is that in order to get a certified water tech, our salaries are not commensurate with the available talent. And so we would not be able to find something with the certification. So the person is brought in as a trainee and then is elevated through their years of service and their certifications.
can I?
Sure.
My thinking is, I know we went through this before, and I just wish I could remember every single detail of what we talked about last time. I know something stopped it when we got to 0 hour, and I just can't remember what it was that kept us from making the actual posting, but I think we asked for this before, but I think we have partially the same issue we just had in the last position. Not the same detail, but paperwork. We're talking about trainees, we're talking about salary stuff. I would just, for me, I think I'd be most comfortable. I'm not saying I'm against, I mean, I hear that, I know, and I've heard you for however many years it's been that you want this position. In order to say yes, I'd like to see the draft posting and the position that's actually going to be posted, and that if it fits in the matrix and all that other stuff, which I know some of that we've probably gone over again, but we really need it when we're going to actually talk about it at the meeting. It's hard for us to vote on
I'm
something.
confused, okay, so let's say we take water tech position and we post that. Current job description, water tech, somebody like Mike, certified in everything, okay? And we get 5 applicants, but none of them have all of those certifications.
That's correct.
Okay, so would that be like hiring them probationary?
Yes.
Based on pending certifications and whatever?
That's what we did with the last one.
Okay.
That's exactly what we did with the last one.
Okay, so the job description stays the same. However, when I think about that, if somebody's not certified for everything, licensed to do everything, does that person need to be with somebody who is
yes.
all of the time?
Not all,
Not all the time, but RJ, he doesn't do on-call until he's certified and
Depends on the task.
knows all the stations and what to do and be able to go to someone's house and shut their water off and stuff like that.
Okay, so help me. There's you and RJ, and Paul?
Me and Paul do the on-call.
Just on a regular day? There's you and RJ and Paul?
Yes.
So for things that he isn't certified for yet, he's with one of you?
Yes.
Correct,
Other than that, he can go on his own?
Yes.
correct.
What is the percentage of time that he's on his own?
Right now, when I'm out, and he's mowing or doing stuff like that.
He's not
What do
doing
you
what?
mean when,
40% of the time, maybe.
40% of the time?
I,
So potentially, this is where I'm going, potentially, you're saying you want to hire somebody that might not have those certifications, that would need 40% of the time to find things that they could do by themselves. Other than that, it would be double teaming everything.
Well, they
We usually work together.
it's
anyway.
not, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that until somebody's trained. This is the problem we had, why we wanted to get somebody in here 3 years ago, 4 years ago now.
What is the difference in pay for somebody who's experienced?
The difference in pay,
In some cases,
Some guy
it's
came
more
in, he
than our
makes,
superintendent.
right. He makes $34 an hour, a guy that was licensed from Sudbury or something, if I remember correctly. But he would be, $9 over the top paid operator at the Townsend Water Department at this time. So we didn't go for it because it wasn't budgeted.
And what are the things that are suffering because you don't have another person, at least half-time? Because when you think about it, they're going to be half-time until they're thoroughly trained.
there's a lot of regulatory, I mean, we're
Flushing.
flushing, exercising gates, checking hydrants for leakage. Every hydrant's supposed to be checked, every gate is supposed to be exercised.
Are those
It's according to our,
Are those things that require a certified tech to do?
not per se, but it's manpower, labor intensive that I don't have the time to go out there to help the guys, so it's 2 guys doing this. DEP strongly recommends, requires that the entire system be flushed every year. We're lucky to get half the system flushed a year. And that's 4 months out of the year
Okay.
dedicated to that.
Cindy, where are you?
I'm hearing some of the questions that you're asking, and I'm wondering, well, I mean, without seeing the job description again, and not having matrix information in front of us, I'm not sure, but having a second person who's only 50%, 40% there is a concern, because you're still going to have, now you're going to have 3 people going out together to do things, or you're still
Well-
double teaming everything, or,
We can't afford a person, we have to work within our budget.
But you understand, you're hiring somebody
Yes,
40 hours a week that is only going to be able to work by themselves half of that time.
That's with any job training, whether it be the water department or any department. You just don't let them fly free inside the office.
Yes, Mike?
Yeah, there's not just like half the work that they can do. There's plenty of other work. They can go to hydrants and paint them, and they don't need to be a certified water tech to paint a water hydrant. And stuff, there's plenty of stuff to do to keep the guy busy. A lot of
I mean, there's,
the licensing is to be able to adjust the chemical pumps, run the pumps, know the SCADA system, when to turn stuff on, when to turn it off. So it's not like it's, and you have to be licensed to do on-call, which is part of our job description.
when is RJ going to be fully licensed?
He's going to be taking the test in a couple of weeks.
that's for one of 3 licenses.
But I think he's going to go for two tests, right? D1 and T1? Not on the same day, but he's gonna take one and then he's gonna reschedule and take the other one, because he just
He needs
does
to get the
classes.
treatment one first, that way there, he'll be able to take call, on call.
And that will be in August?
Hopefully, he's gonna take the test. We'll know, hopefully in August, whether he passes that or not.
He can't schedule it for another 2 weeks, and I believe he paid for the test today from a check from town hall.
So,
They say schedule it in 2 weeks, so that puts us at the middle of August. Just when he can schedule the test. I don't know when the date of the test will be.
So he has a certain amount of experience, or?
He took a class, and that's what you do, you go take the test, and he says he's a good test taker, so I'm thinking he's gonna pass it, he's a smart kid. And
Is
then he
there a
goes-
requirement to how long you have to work with experience prior to getting these licenses?
he's already attended 6 weeks of classes.
Is there any requirement of time period passing from the time of hire to the time of licensure? Does the
2 years.
licensing? Okay.
To get the
It's not
licenses
mandatory, though. I mean,
required.
Sometimes you don't pass it, you may have to take it again.
All right, I mean, but,
Sometimes
I
you may
mean,
not.
minimum, I'm
Right.
saying how long
Yeah,
you have
minimum. We're
to,
looking
sometimes
at
these are like
2 years,
apprentices. He's like,
Yeah.
when we're talking trainees, we're really talking apprentice, that they need to have some kind of.
Are they a formal apprentice for 2 years? Okay?
They're
'Cause I-
designated by the state,
Right,
Mass DEP, as
Okay.
operator in training.
Okay.
so they're not gonna be fully licensed and able to work on their own for 2 years, under the best, if they pass every test the first try. It's gonna be 2 years minimum before, either
No,
are
maybe less than 2 years.
I think if
That's
you
my
have a-
point, yes.
changing it.
No. What you're saying is different than what he's hearing, I think.
Fair
So,
enough.
yeah,
Well, he could get,
okay.
I believe if you have a college education,
If 2 years
you
is,
do it a year.
if 2 years
probation.
is an estimate of how long it would take somebody to pass all of the tests
Right.
and be fully licensed, then somebody that's really bright and aggressive might do all of that in 1 year.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And-
That's different than what Cindy was asking. Cindy was asking, are you on probation in terms of licensing with the state? No, you
No.
pass it, you got it,
How
it's
long
done.
does
Right.
it take?
You get an operator in training,
It
and then you
depends on
become
the
a full
person.
operator after a certain amount of time after you become an operator in training.
Okay, I don't want to spend any longer on this. Do we have a motion
I don't know what it would be.
to declare a vacancy for a full-time water tech?
I make a motion that we declare a vacancy for full-time water tech.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I don't know. Are you voting yes?
I don't think it's fair to ask that question.
No, I think it is fair. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it, I don't want to split vote, either we're both in favor of it or we're not. That's just,
I'm not convinced,
Of
but
what?
I'm just not convinced
Of what?
that you need another full-time water tech. If the one that you have is about to take some tests and you're expecting that they're gonna be able to do more on their own, then how can you gauge how much they can do at that point to take up some of the slack that you're feeling now?
We've been filling it for 3-4 years now. We've been asking for this position for 4 years. We're behind on all our regulatory things that we need to do, especially the flushing of the system. This is nothing new.
I'm trying to watch out for myself
I
here.
think they consider the water takers in this. They're not.
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say. I'm a water taker, okay? And I just simply want to know that this has been looked at and figured out over a long term.
I think 4
It
years
used-
is a long term.
I think we're getting to the point in town here that we're going through a transition to what I hope is a much more professional way of determining what we need and what we don't need. And I'm not seeing the justification. I'm not seeing numbers, I'm not seeing hours, I'm not seeing who does what and how long does it take. Those kinds of analyses are what I'm used to seeing.
Can I address that, please?
Yes.
So I'm looking
You
at
have that?
25 positions that have been approved in the last couple of years.
Last fiscal year.
Last fiscal years. I haven't seen analysis on any one of these.
What I'm saying
Neither
is...
You need to give it to us.
You guys approved these positions.
Those are new
Are they in the
positions.
water department?
No, I'm conservation, police, BOS.
I've been on the board for just over a year.
I'm saying that the water department, for whatever reason, is being more heavily scrutinized than the other departments. Yes, they have.
When I have...
There's been no
I'm
financial
not going to
justification
argue,
for any
I
of
am not
this.
going to argue with you about it, Lance, all right? I am going to tell you that myself, as a member of this board, I can only speak for myself, Cindy can speak for herself, and Wayne, if he were here, I expect more than what I've received. That's all I'm saying, okay? I just expect more, because I do get that from other departments. So, with that said, I will vote yes on this, but I don't feel really good about it, and I just want you to know about that. Okay? So, Sulicio is yes.
I'll go yes.
You have your position.
Thank you.
324, payment for professional services rendered for the town and water department as voted on and passed at the annual town meeting, May 2018. I'm assuming this means for legal services?
Correct.
Yes. So, like other professional services that we budget for, i.e. engineering, the water department felt it was necessary to hire the services of a lawyer who specialized in water department activities. This is not K&P's expertise. It was also apparent that an unbiased decision from K&P may have not been forthcoming. The monies for these services was in our budget, and it was also approved at town meeting. So, although K&P feels like it was an illegal vote at town meeting that is not binding, it is just an opinion from K&P. And I hope the board will make their own decision on whether the services of this lawyer should be paid or not. We're, as the town, the citizens of Townsend have made their voice quite apparent that it should be paid.
Mr. Kreidler, is this not having to do with current litigation, pending litigation?
It is, yes.
So my understanding is that the water department has filed a suit against the town to answer this question.
Correct.
I will not comment on pending litigation, as long as that litigation exists.
Agreed.
Madam Chair?
I will not comment on it, but you may say whatever you want to.
Any of the information surrounding the lawsuit is all public information. I have no problem, unless the chair has a problem, discussing it in an open meeting. I don't,
You can discuss it.
there's no statute saying specifically that we cannot hire our own attorney. And-
Paul, you can't argue that with me. That's not something for us to argue. You've brought lawsuit against the town. The water department has done that, okay? And the courts will have to figure that out. It'll have to just go through that process. I'm sorry.
I think the board here has the authority to settle.
I believe that the reason that you filed that lawsuit was because the board had already made a decision and we are in disagreement, or we were in disagreement at the time. I'm anxious for it to be solved.
Well, we can talk about settling it if you wish. I don't know if it would be an open meeting or executive session, but we're more than happy to.
I think it would behoove the taxpayers and water takers to do so, rather than have two attorneys build up insurmountable bills over a long period of time. It doesn't make any sense to put the taxpayers and water takers through that.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
A lot of thought has gone into this, and I'm sure the same with Paul and his board. This isn't one of those types of issues where there is a comfortable middle ground that the parties can meet at. This is either fish or fowl. It's either the water department under the Board of Water Commissioners are autonomous, or they're not. And notwithstanding votes at town meeting, which give a sense of what some people would like, the law is the law, and on a point of law, there is no middle ground. And that's why I think we are where we are. It's not something that can be settled unless one party is going to capitulate and accept the other's position in total.
And as far as I'm concerned, we have an obligation. We are taking the advice of town council, and town council is saying no, and what I have read says no, that the Board of Selectmen is the only one that can enter into a contract with council. Okay, I read it in a DOR memo the other day. I happened to be looking for something, and that's what it said. And it's like, oh, yeah, I've heard that before. So it wasn't, we have maintained that same stance from the beginning. It has nothing to do with how we think, with interfering with your day-to-day business and you're taking care of the water department. It has to do with hiring an attorney. And we are told, and I am reading, we are the only ones allowed to do that. So,
And we already have town council. Keep you up.
So if there's a conflict between the water department and the town, doesn't it behoove us to get our own attorney? How are we going to defend ourselves with town council? Town council is going to automatically side with the board.
so you're saying,
That's
not
their
true.
job.
That's not true. Side with the Board of Selectmen, they're gonna read the law. And if the water department as a department of the community is correct, then they would write as much. I've dealt with KP Law for a good long time, and I've had them come down against the Board of Selectmen on a number of occasions. When the board is wrong, they write as much. Well, the case that the appointing authority of the water department with the selectmen is 3.2.1, I forget what the statute and the charter is, but nowhere under the appointing authority is the water department mentioned. So, I mean, again, it goes back to the board.
our
Your
charter
authority says-
comes after the state law. The state law is on top of the charter. We may not put anything in the charter that is contradictory to state law. Our first obligation is state law. The second obligation is the charter, and after that, it's the bylaws.
Shouldn't the charter then coincide with state law?
Well, as a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about resurrecting the Charter Review Committee in a little while.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I think because we're having this discussion, and people are watching at home, no doubt, this isn't a new issue that has just come up with this current Board of Water Commissioners and this Board of Selectmen, or even 2 iterations before. This has gone on for a couple of decades. If you go back into the minutes of meetings, this has been a perennial issue of a power struggle is a strong characterization, but for lack of a better descriptor, what is being suggested by the Board of Water Commissioners in terms of their authority is what a water district is. Twice it has gone to the people in this community to create a water district, which would empower them to hire counsel and to do all the appointing and all of the things that they're suggesting that they should have the right to do.
And have their own town meeting and have their own budget and their own everything.
So there is a way to get to where they would like to go. It's been tried twice and it's failed. It doesn't mean it can't be tried again. But unless it is tried and succeeds, they don't have that. That's just the law.
That's kind of how I understood it too. I'm not an attorney, but I have to go by what my attorney's telling me, because I have to protect the town. Because just because somebody disagrees with what, let's say that I disagreed with something that K&P said to us, okay? And I said, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, and I go ahead and do it anyway. Town's going to be liable for my actions. I have to listen to my town council. I don't have any choice. I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to put the town in jeopardy.
Well, I mean, you only have to go back to the legislative act that we were created under in 1933. The town of Townsend.
You know what?
voted-
You're arguing your case.
Okay.
I don't want to argue your case, okay? We'll let the court decide. If you're going to go on with your case, then so be it. So,
Can I close the Water Commissioners meeting then, Madam Chair?
yes.
So can I get a motion to close the Water Commissioners meeting at 7:20 at 272 Main Street, Townsend, Massachusetts, on July 31st, 2018?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion's carried. The Water Commissioner meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay, 3.3, sorry to keep you guys waiting. Discussion regarding public safety dispatching is currently established with Neshoba Valley Regional District, is that what that?
Correct.
Okay. And as is being considered as regional with Ashby and Pepperell. Jim, do you want to start off, or?
I'll turn right to the chiefs, whichever of the two of them want to kick it off.
Chief Boynton, I know you gave us a lot of information. Do you want to give us a summary overview of what's going on?
Sure. I gave you a memo, I gave you a response to Director Posniak. So let me give you a little background, I guess. Maybe 3-4 months ago, we were approached by Pepperell and Ashby and invited to a meeting to investigate or to discuss regionalization of dispatch for Ashby, Pepperell, and Townsend. And we met with Director Posniak from State 911 Department, myself, and you were there too, weren't you? Rick was there, and Town Administrator Kreidler was there. And the response from the director was that he would like a letter from the town of Townsend with our intent, basically a summary of our intent of why we believe that that would be better for us than being with Neshoba. So we did that in May 22nd, I believe that letter went out. And then 2 weeks ago, I got a response from Director Posniak with a list of questions that he had generated. So Collaboratively, I generated some answers to those questions, shared them with the chief officers and Captain Grimley, and we did meet last Monday, the chief officers, the police and fire, and agreed to that response, and decided that it would be best that we forward those questions to you, so they would come from the Board of Selectmen and not from an individual chief or department, but collaboratively from the town. And also, simultaneously, there are some staffing and a number of other issues going on with Neshoba Valley that have raised some concerns. So the other thing that we've requested and we're working on is a backup agreement with Pepperell in case Neshoba was to fail. Then we would have a backup plan, and that is also before you tonight. And it seems like I'm missing something else. It's a pretty good summary of what's going on.
I think you wanted to talk about
In relation to the committee.
planning committee as well.
Yeah, so the bullet points that I put in the memo were to discuss and for you guys to consider signing the response to Director Pozniak, the backup agreement with Pepperell, which is also in front of you, and then if we are interested in moving forward with the planning process of an Ashby Pepperell Townsend, there's a Mass General Law 6A that outlines that process, and the first step in that process is to appoint a planning committee, 3 members from Townsend, which you guys would appoint. Pepperell has already done such, and my understanding is Ashby will do that at their next select board meeting. And then we could officially meet as a regional planning committee, the 9 or so people, and discuss how and when we move forward.
Okay, I think it pretty well lays out what you would do, or what
Yeah, the law
That-
lays out the
what
mission of
that
what they
planning
need to
committee would be
accomplish.
responsible for. Cindy, do you have any questions?
So at this stage, we're not looking at changing from Neshoba to Pepperell and Ashby. We're looking at just creating a backup?
We're actually looking at both.
Both.
Parallel tracks.
Looking at changing, but also because of current status at Neshoba, is looking at a backup in case they fail.
Okay, are we going to be, if we wanted to get out of Neshoba, can we? Is that,
We'd have to, I'd defer to Mr. Kreidler and Town Council, but there is an escape clause in our contract. I believe it's 120 days notice.
okay. Is that,
Yes.
okay, so both are doable, like doing the backup as well as, once we have the backup, I'm assuming that doing everything simultaneously is,
In the preliminary discussions with Pepperell and Ashby, it's not to jump into something in the next month or two, it would be 8 to 12 months out.
it's what?
8 to 12 months out before we would have time to notify and discuss things with the state as well as with the builder, give them plenty of notice and our intentions, get everything set up and then transition like next July,
Okay,
So,
if we chose to go that.
yeah, so we just need to put
okay,
the planning committee, I mean.
the letter that you're asking us to sign to the director, the 911 director, is to answer some questions that he had, it looks like.
Yeah.
And is that, does that have to do with the financing of such a change? I mean, we've put some money into Neshoba. I would assume that there would be money needed were we to set up the new one, and I know this is way off, okay? But is there a possibility that some of the funding could come back to us?
I think those are the pieces that Director Pozniak holds, and I can't speak for him. but
Okay.
They did invest about $300,000 in us going to Neshoba. There's a case to be made on either side as to whether or not that money, any of that money would be necessarily lost. They paid for, like, for example, a phone system, which we would still have that phone system. It is connected to Neshoba as one example, but it's also an independent system that we can, if we disconnect it from Neshoba, we'd still have the phone system. It's not like a loss of X dollars for that system. Same with software and other systems that the state paid for. We didn't invest any money in Neshoba other than our assessment fees.
Okay.
We rebuilt our radio system last year with savings from going to Neshoba because it cost us less money than running our own comm center. But we didn't really invest any money in infrastructure. It was mainly the state.
Okay. Do you want to make some motions here?
Yeah, what
Based
motion?
on this,
The 3 bullets.
the 3 bullets on his
So,
memo.
motion to execute the attached letter composed by police and fire officials as a response to 911 Director Frank Posniak.
So you want 3 separate motions?
I think-
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion that we
Execute.
execute the attached letter composed by police and fire officials as a response to Director Frank Posniak questions regarding regionalization.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that will come from the board.
Correct. Madam Chair, I apologize. Could you include for the chair to sign out of session because we do have one other.
Oh, yeah.
So amended.
Typo, yes. Second amended. Vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. Number 2,
Make a motion that that in the event our current emergency dispatch provider, NVRDD, fails, it is critical we have a backup plan. Okay, no.
to approve.
Make a motion, it's
the
just
memorandum of
to approve
understanding.
the memorandum of understanding with the town of Pepperell to provide backup dispatch and 911 call answering.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay,
Make a
to
motion
form a regional,
That we form a regional 911 emergency communications dispatch planning committee consisting of 3 officials from Townsend to work with Ashby and Pepperell community members.
and they're recommending,
And
so,
The last line.
And to appoint Deputy Chief Sartell, Captain Grimley, and Chief Boynton.
Boynton. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, before they go, this was a pretty controversial decision to have made when it was originally made, and it took, I think, a lot of courage for public safety leadership to stand up and do it. I think a true test of whether or not people are leading correctly is to be able to assess whether the decision that was made is the right one for the community, and if not, be able to come forward again and say, hey, we think that there's a better way to do what needs to be done to protect everybody. And I just wanted to thank the leadership from police and fire for.
I truly appreciate that. Truly appreciate that. If you find that, what we did isn't working right, it's not meeting our needs, and there's something else out there that can work better, all about continuous improvement. Okay?
Thank you, folks.
Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. 3-4, to approve a request for the 14th annual Greg's Run Road Race to close off the streets from the Townsend Congregational Church up Brookline Street, up Highland, up Wallace Hill, and then back to the church from 9:30 to 12:30 p.m. for an event. I'm confused. 9:30 to 12:30 for an event that lasts from 9 to 1:30?
1:30, that's 1:30.
Yes, I know it's 1:30. It's just confusing as to,
They'll be assembled
Why
on
there
the
were two
common. They're
times.
not- they
They'll
don't need the
assemble
road.
early, run,
Okay.
and then disassemble.
gotcha. All right. Do I have a motion?
Well, I would
Oh,
make one, but there's no date here.
One wasn't.
Have a date on when the road
When
race
is it?
Yeah, one wasn't selected
Oh, yeah.
yet. When
Oh.
Reverend Brockmeyer sent the email, there was not a date yet selected, but because it's an annual, this is the 14th, he
Okay.
wanted to just make certain that he got in front of the board before too much time went by, so.
This is
Well,
an annual request.
It's an annual request, but the other thing is that the public safety needs to know about it too, so.
Yep. So perhaps contingent upon the date being confirmed with public safety officials.
Okay, make a motion that we approve the request to close off the streets from the Townsend Congregational Church up Brookline Street, up Highland Street, up Wallace Hill, and then back to the church from 9:30 to 12:30 on the date to be determined, pending confirmation and subsequent approval by public safety officials for the Greg's, what is it?
Greg's.
Annual Greg's Run Road Race.
Second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 3.5, review, discuss, and approve a request to close Dudley Road to Barker Hill for a 5K road race on Saturday, August 26, 2018, from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. for North Middlesex Cares. Do I have a motion?
I have a question first. Does public safety know about this already?
It's on Sunday, it's not on Saturday.
Oh.
The 26th is a Sunday morning.
We have been in contact with them.
But it's all set, I mean, you're good?
They're actually moving their event from Pepperell to Townsend.
We've had it in Pepperell the last 2 years, we're changing it to Townsend this year.
Great. Townsend be the
And we also,
Race Central.
I'm not sure if one, I don't have an agenda, I'm not sure if another request was, we're starting at the senior center and ending at the senior center, and we wanted to be able to have the use of the 2 bathrooms for people that are running and volunteering.
We can work that out offline. Yeah, there's no requirement of a board vote for that, so we can work that out
Oh,
offline.
they told us that at the senior center.
I spoke with Karen about it.
Because they don't have
Because they have to have
facilities,
staff.
they don't have facility staff on a Sunday.
There's nobody to open the building.
I mean, typically, it's not open.
Would a police officer suffice that we will be having?
My only point was that this wouldn't be a vote of the board.
No, I know.
So we can work out those details offline.
Okay.
That's all. They wouldn't be required to vote on it, that's all.
Okay. So who do I contact about that?
Tim.
Okay. I can send you an email?
Please.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have that facilities group anymore over there.
Right.
So I guess it defaults to you.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
Okay.
Okay. Make a motion that North Middlesex Cares is allowed to close Dudley Road, well, from the senior center, Dudley Road, up Barker to the Barker Hill intersection and back. We'll have a road race on Sunday, August 26th, from 8:30 to 10 a.m., with the road being closed to traffic during that time.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do have cooking flyers, if I could leave them with you.
Sure.
Please. Can you email it too?
I can.
So we can get it up online.
I can. That would be great.
3.6, review and approve a goods and services agreement contract for landscaping services.
Madam Chair,
This is like last year's, right?
what you have is the result of a procurement for this fiscal 19's landscape contract. And of the proposals submitted, the best price, most responsive price comes in from Shepco in the amount of $27,700.01. There is an appropriation in place, and if it would please the board, a vote to execute the contract.
And we have enough to cover that.
Yes.
What was it last year?
25, no, I think it was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a couple thousand more.
Thanks.
Make a motion that we approve the goods and services agreement for landscaping services.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Do you need the name in there?
As presented, Shepco.
Amended.
Second. Yes.
Here we go.
3.7, review approve a Chapter 90 reimbursement in the amount of $218,132.92 for reclamation and resurfacing of Old Turnpike Road.
Make a motion. Make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 reimbursement in the amount of $218,132.92 for the reclamation and resurfacing of Turnpike Road.
Second. All those in favor?
Oh, I just signed this one. Aye.
She's just,
All right, I'll do Carol, let's do Carolyn's copy.
Hers is better.
Here's.
she says sign, I sign. Because otherwise she calls me and says, "Till you forgot to sign."
While you're signing, I'm going to just read the next one.
This is the Chapter
Make a
90.
motion that we approve the
Did we
Chapter...
vote on this?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Make a motion that we approve the Chapter 90 reimbursement in the amount of $157,673 for reclamation and resurfacing of Old South Road.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's one. Carolyn, it was 2 ayes. Okay. 3.9, review and discuss unregistered vehicles on Wallace Hill and South Street. I understand that the folks that we received complaints from had gotten letters back June 8th, and we've received no response. We gave them 10 days to supply copies of all vehicle registrations for those vehicles, and we received no response.
No, and I did get the green card back that they did pick up the letter, so.
Okay, so Chapter 112, Streets and Sidewalks. This is a bylaw. 112-14, unregistered motor vehicles. No person or entity shall keep or permit to be kept on any premises within the town of Townsend more than one unregistered motor vehicle, assembled or disassembled, unless said vehicles are stored within an enclosed building. The one unregistered motor vehicle shall be no closer than 75 feet to a public way and no closer than 75 feet to the property line of another. For good cause shown, the Board of Selectmen may issue a permit to keep more than one unregistered motor vehicle on any premises not within an enclosed building after a duly called public hearing to which all abutters to the premises have received a notice if it finds that such keeping, 1, will not adversely affect the neighborhood, 2, will not be a nuisance, or 3, the keeping of such vehicles will not be in conjunction with a use that is A, otherwise not permissible in the zoning district, or B, is permissible by a special permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, but no permit has been granted. C, all permits granted shall limit the number of unregistered motor vehicles to be kept on the premises by the permit holder, shall not run with the land, and shall be limited to a reasonable length of time to be determined by the Board of Selectmen. D, the provision of subsections A through E, inclusive of this section, shall not apply to motor vehicles designed and used for farming purposes, nor the persons or entities in the lawful exercise of licenses granted under MGL Chapter 140, Sections 58 and 59. And here's the good one. E, the Board of Selectmen shall enforce this section. No other town official shall have the authority to enforce this section. No other town official shall investigate any potential violations. Upon a written complaint to the Board of Selectmen, which we have received, a designated member of the board shall perform a site inspection and investigation and shall report his findings to the board in writing. The report shall contain the vehicles' identification numbers and the property address on which the vehicles are located. If the report finds the vehicle is in violation of this section, the Board of Selectmen shall send another certified letter to the owner of the land on which said vehicle is parked, and the property owner will have 30 days to remove said vehicle. Whoever violates any provisions of this section of the Townsend General Bylaws shall be liable for a penalty of $100 per day for each day of the violations. Violations will be calculated from the date of the certified mailing. No penalty will be assessed if the vehicle is removed within 30 days and there are no subsequent violations. I'm reading this because I'm going to take a trip out to those two properties. Chief Bailey, I've asked for you to give me a ride or meet me there, one or the other, okay? Because I am not comfortable, okay? But I will knock on the door and give them a copy of the bylaw and ask them to either provide us with a registration or they will be getting another certified letter and have 30 days to remove them, okay? And that's also a notice to other people. I'm not afraid to take a ride with the police chief and clean up some of the properties. Okay? That's done. If you could just, we'll arrange when. Okay.
Anytime I'm around most times, so.
Okay.
Whatever makes sense.
Madam Chair, could I ask for a 5-minute recess?
You may. Recessing at, what time is it? 7:44. Back in 5 minutes, folks. Okay, welcome back. We're at 3.10, review, approve, sign the warrant for the 2018 state primary to be held on September 4th, 2018.
Make a motion that we approve and sign the warrant for the 2018 state primary to be held on September 4th, 2018.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 3.11, review, approve, sign Selectmen Liaison Policy Number 3, 2018. This is the second reading. Any problems with this one? I kind of almost wanted to rework one of them, but I think it's okay.
I've got it, I know I have it. We made a change to it,
Yep, the
right?
changes that you made have been.
And that was, yeah, I was fine with it except for the change, so I'm good,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve and sign the Selectmen's Policy Number 3-2, 2018.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have me well trained. Thank you. 312, review and discuss the setting of a date for interviews and board questions for the interviews. I passed in a couple of questions that I thought of. I don't know how good or not they are. If you could incorporate them with the others.
I will. And I'll send those around, just so we have one running
Okay.
list.
And Cindy, if you come up with any, or Wayne comes up with any, we'll just add them in. Do we have any tentative dates?
The month of September, to fit your schedule. The firms indicated that works. I don't think they're going to object anyway, but
So should we have it on an off week?
I would suggest, yeah, it's going to be a
Okay.
pretty substantive
So
discussion.
our meetings are supposedly the 1st and 3rd. The 1st would be the day after Labor Day.
Which is, we can't have a selectmen's meeting that night. Well, we could.
The day after Labor Day, we
Well, it's
can't?
the primary day.
Oh, is that the
And they use this
primary
room
too?
to feed the
Oh.
election workers, and it's going to be a big one. It's not, it's going to be well attended.
Yes, I think it might be.
So we can't have any meeting.
So we
So
could,
you could
Kathy
use the
will not
meeting room
let us.
downstairs if you wanted, but the election workers do use this room for.
Yeah.
we could do the 11th for the town council, and then go to the regular schedule for the 18th. And we end up missing one.
I need to get things done.
That's what I'm saying, if we do them on the 11th, that'd be the soonest September date that, unless you wanted to do
Let's
the
do,
4th over at the library in the meeting hall.
Is it already booked?
I don't know.
I wouldn't think so on a Tuesday evening. Why don't we say tentatively?
4th, location to be determined, and I
Yeah.
can get on that tomorrow.
Yeah. And then the 11th with the town councils. Do you think we can do all three in one night? How many do we have, 3 or 4?
4. 4 for
you
general.
recommending all
3
4?
3 for labor. I didn't make a recommendation on any of them.
What do we have, how many for general?
4 for general, 3 for labor. One of them did not put in
For general.
no, for labor.
One of them did not put in for labor.
4 firms. One of them is just labor. Excuse me, one of them is just general. Jeez,
We'll get it right.
it's getting late.
Yeah,
So 4 firms.
okay. I can't see us getting through 4.
No,
in
I
one
don't think
night.
that's fair
No.
to them or
So,
us.
2 on the 11th and 2 on the 25th? And in between, we'll do selectmen stuff. Okay? I mean, I think we just have to bite the bullet and do it, you know? You okay with that?
Yeah, so we're going to have a regular meeting on the 4th? Okay.
If we can
To
get,
be determined.
if we
To be
can get
determined. And then
a
the
place.
11th and the 25th is interviews?
is interviews and 18th is a
Is regular.
regular
Okay.
meeting. Okay?
All right.
Got that, Carolyn? Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, so that takes care of 312. 13, reviewed draft mission statement and appointment process for the American Flag Committee. If you don't mind, I'd like to pass over this.
Okay.
And then invite,
Excellent.
you know, the chair or whomever wants to come from the Flag Committee, and that'll give them a chance, if we can distribute that to them, please, because I'm sure they may have some, I have a couple of things that I think we should talk about too, but is that all right with you if we just pass over
Yeah,
that?
I'd be happy to pass that over.
But if we could put it on the next meeting. Speaking of next meeting, is that next week? That's what it's supposed to be. But that is hitting with Chief Bailey's evening, too.
Oh,
I know, I feel badly about that, but we had said 1st and 3rd.
Do we have much in the file? as of yet?
Nothing pending, but you do have a few zoning board mandatory
And
referrals.
so we might be able to do a relatively
A quick one?
brief and then get to
Okay.
the night out.
Can we try that?
Yeah.
All right. Remind me.
I'll put everything I have collected and send it to you.
He's laughing because I'm always adding stuff to the list. Okay.
So do you want to try and put this on the third,
Which one is that?
the American Flag Committee, give them an invite?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And send them a copy, please. Okay. 314, discuss status of filling the appointments to the Charter Review. I just wondered, I just asked Jim to tell me who have we got so far? So it looks like the moderator's been busy. Selectmen, I had expressed interest in that, but we hadn't said any more about it.
We do have one volunteer response form that's been submitted that has not yet been placed. That's Kim Craven. So I don't know if
Has the FinCom met yet?
they've not picked their two yet. Library has one, Council on Aging has one, and Selectmen have one.
Council on Aging, have they taken anything?
We talked about it today at the meeting, and we didn't have a full board, so our decision is no decision until our next meeting,
When's your next meeting?
August 21st.
Okay.
Does it
Debbie?
sound like you have somebody that's interested?
Well, we wanted, yes.
Okay.
Well, we have thoughts about it, though. We'd like to see someone who's active at the senior center. If it's not a board member, it's somebody that's there and just can bring in the senior side of it to the review.
I mean, I would take that application and submit it to the boards that haven't appointed anybody yet.
Were you looking to be appointed as a selectman's? or-
Well, I was thinking about it. You're not interested, are you, Dawn?
No, I went down that road once.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did too,
yeah.
so I'm not interested.
No, I would volunteer for the selectman appointment for that.
Do you want to put
My
do a
money where my
motion,
mouth is.
or-
Yeah, sure.
Okay, because I don't think, was Wayne not interested?
I didn't hear
I know-
anything from him.
We talked about this last time, didn't we?
No, I'm
Sue
the
was
only one
Sue
that
was
I think
the
Sue
one
was
that
the only
expressed
one,
an
okay.
interest,
Yeah.
I'll make a
I'm the
motion
only
to
one that said anything.
appoint Sulicio as the selectman's representative for the new and improved charter review committee.
I'll second that without the last part.
I'm just kidding. It's getting late, I'm starting.
All those
to
in
get silly.
favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So, any other volunteer forms that you get, I would say pass them on to, well, at least library and finance, because it sounds like Council on Aging is going to try to fill somebody there, okay?
And can I ask, I'm just curious what pending means next to Kelly's name?
They just haven't officially voted it.
Oh.
They've discussed it, they've pretty well settled it, but they've just not officially.
I thought they
Okay.
did vote on it,
Okay.
but I might not.
I think the response we got back today was they had not yet officially
Okay,
voted it.
all right.
So we're moving, this is good.
This is good.
We're moving.
We're getting there, we're getting there. Maybe by the end of the month we'll have them filled. Because I think library doesn't meet for another week or two anyway.
Just got to crack the whip with FinCom.
FinCom, yeah.
All right.
Has FinCom even been meeting? Who's the chair? This, Lynn? Could we send a note to her, just to, remind her? Because that's two people too, Okay, 315, review approve use of legal counsel policy 4, 2018. This is also a second reading. Any issues on that?
The changes that you had at your last meeting have been made, so this is as you voted it to second reading.
It's okay with me.
What were the changes that we made?
There were a couple of areas that might have wandered into open meeting law violations where any member that sought counsel had to share with the others, and so that stuff's been taken out. Added that while not having to share content, at least giving knowledge to the TA, so from a budget perspective, we have a sense that we're not going to get whacked at the end of the month blind.
Oh, that's right, my question was the money, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Just, if something weird happens, then we'll just.
Well, then we'll
just
review it.
redo the
Yeah,
policy.
well, but
That's
that's how all laws are made,
Exactly.
you know?
This isn't that bad of a
No,
policy that we
that's
can't
fine. So-
impact, we can't change it as we go if it needs to be changed.
Exactly.
So I make a motion that we approve the legal counsel, the use of legal counsel policy, whatever that number was, 4-2018.
And I'll second that. Other discussion? Not all those in favor? Aye. That's done, that's done. 316, review, discuss, vote, Chapter 61C, first right of refusal for a parcel of land on Scales Lane.
Madam Chair, this comes before you pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 61B. The town gets first right of refusal for the sale or conversion of this parcel that's been kept in this chapter of the law. The sale price is $250,000, 250,000, and it is 5.98 acres, and it is on Scales Lane. It's a parcel that is currently attached to the golf course and would be being split off from the golf course as this roughly 6-acre piece with frontage on Scales.
Is there a date on here?
July 10th, the date of the letter, Michael Norris.
And how long do we have? What was it that we found out last time?
120 days from notice to consider.
Do we have a notice, do we have a letter here saying that somebody's not interested? Didn't we get something from someone that said that they weren't interested?
No, I think you're confusing the affordable housing unit. You had 30 days to do an
Okay, yeah,
appraisal.
That was the
yeah.
last
Even
one.
though
No, but on,
it's-
didn't we get something?
I send out a referral to all the land use boards asking for any feedback
Okay.
for you. And I believe you're correct. I believe we did get an email back saying they weren't interested in pursuing it.
Who was that, Conservation?
I
Okay.
believe it was.
Okay.
This is commercial
It is.
property
It is.
that they just,
I believe this was where we were going to build the fire station originally. wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that's a lot of money for a little plot of land. My question is, when they come up with that amount of money, is that done based on an appraisal, a real estate
Just-
appraisal?
No, it's whatever, this is a bona fide offer, so that's, purchase and sale agreement exists between the owner and a private party, and that's the amount that's
Oh,
being
so the
paid.
owner is selling it?
Correct. So
And they're
they've got a
selling it
buyer for
they-
$250, we get to match that if we want.
So if we want to come up with 250, we can get first dibs on it, basically?
Correct.
I think that's expensive, but while we're talking about it, and this kind of gets into one of your updates too, but there are folks that want to do things, and it doesn't seem like we really own a lot of land that we can use for town stuff. I just wondered if we should start thinking about that for the future.
I know that the master planning group
Well, see, that,
is looking at land use in terms of economic development as well as recreation, active and passive.
exactly, you know, I mean, and when the housing authority as well,
Yeah.
you know, we don't own any land. to speak of. And that's not necessarily a good thing for us, for our future.
I think this particular lot, where it is commercial, like you just said, you use the term economic development, which I'm a strong advocate
Yeah.
for more of that in Townsend and more viable, and this is, it isn't a viable spot.
Are there any
I'm sure that the
restrictions
golf-
on this land?
I'm sure the golf course would like to keep some trees over there and keep it so that it can't be
Well,
touched.
it's not really near the trees. It's
No, but-
more
okay.
across from Sterilite.
Oh, okay.
It's-
But either way, that this is,
And
it's commercial
Elsa
already.
Williams' building there is like after it.
Okay.
Okay, so, like if you're going, I'm
Okay,
I'm
I'm
sure
just-
that that's
But
that
where it's
little plot of
commercial, if
land.
they've got a buyer and somebody that's actually going to either sit on it for investment, or if they're going to actually have a plan where they're going
It's
to
a-
address our boys for
Is it
commercial
commercially
use.
zoned?
It is.
It is?
I think that's
Commercial
wonderful.
industrial, and it is actually a neighbor in the area that is looking to expand.
For commercial.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I like it even more.
Yeah.
It's to improve on a business, an
Yes.
existing business we already
Yeah.
have in Townsend, to
Yeah.
give them an opportunity to grow the
Okay.
business. I'm really excited
So,
about.
so, do you need a motion to refuse?
Yes.
Make a motion that we refuse, we do not exercise our first right of refusal, is that right?
Yep.
On the parcel of land on the Scales Lane as submitted in the packet.
Second,
Assessors map 18, block 65.
That one.
Get that, Carolyn?
Yeah, and I'll create a non-exercise option that actually gets filed at the registry of deeds and leave it on your desk for you to sign.
Okay, thank you.
Did we vote, did you?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, town administrator updates and reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You should have a copy of a document with a couple of highlights on it in your packet. Personnel updates, land use
Thank you
coordinator.
for doing this, by the way.
Sure.
This is helpful.
Good. We received 11 applications. Of the 11, there were 4 that met or exceeded the listed qualifications. They're being scheduled interview within the next week, one this Friday and the balance on Monday. And expect a recommended candidate before you for your consideration at the next meeting. At our last meeting, we had some discussion about bringing a number of candidates to the board. Sue and I spoke last week and looked at what the traditional format had been for a position like this, and it was that it was handled at the administrative level and a candidate was brought before the board. So consistent with that, that's why there's a slight change from how it was reported at the last
So
meeting.
who's helping you do the interviewing?
Looking at staff from, last time it was done, it was staff from conservation, planning, zoning, and I can reach out as well. There's another board that has an interest in the land use position, and see if there's an interest in sitting.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay.
Next is treasurer collector position. As you're aware, Barbara Tierney, our treasurer collector for the past 2 years, accepted a position in the town of Air that provides her greater compensation and the potential to advance into the role of finance director. We have received 7 applications, and after preliminary interview process conducted by the assessor, accountant, and treasurer collector, the field was narrowed to 2 exceptional candidates. At the end of the day, however, we have neither, as one took a position in another community that was paying more than we do, and the other chose not to accept a conditional offer, given the fact that she is currently making in excess of $10,000 more than we can offer for the same position. So she's going to stay where she is performing the job in another community. So under board action requested, just can we discuss this going forward? Should we be looking at temp assistance, as we did the last time the position was vacant? Or is there a need to address the issue of salary for competitiveness? I also received a call today from the town administrator in the town of Grafton. He saw that we're in the market for this position. He is going into the market for this position as well. He wanted to know what our range is. I told him, and he's about 15 grand higher than we are at his beginning step. Well,
He's looking.
yeah, my concern is that, you know, the adage that you get what you pay for.
Okay. Is there any way to do an informal, I don't mean hiring somebody to do it, but an informal survey of,
We have the 15 comp and class update. It would not be heavy lifting to take those comps, reach out, and refresh that position in the marketplace today, and I can have that done in short order for you.
and the only concern that I have is that it be like communities.
And these are ones that have been identified by the consultant already.
Okay.
And used for every other position in town.
Okay. Let's at least do some kind of comparative.
I'll have that for you for your next meeting.
That's my suggestion. Do you have any thoughts on it? You okay with that?
Excellent. Next year's,
Because that really, when is Barbara's last day?
last week. Right now we have everybody stepping up and doing a little bit more. We've taken some of the functions and slid them across the hall to accounting, where there is no conflict in terms of segregation of duties, so she's taking a little bit of the administrative load. Rebecca, the assistant treasurer collector, has stepped up, and she's taking the lion's share of it, and Susan's going to be pitching in and taking over some of the things that would have fallen specifically to Rebecca. So there's a bit of sharing going on. So at the next meeting, which ideally is going to be next week, I can report back with what the comps say. I can at least tell folks tomorrow that we're moving forward in the process expeditiously.
Okay. I don't want to create anything downstairs where they're going to say, wow, this is too much.
I think so long as we're moving forward and don't appear to be dragging our feet at all, they're going to be good foot soldiers and everybody's going to pitch in. I think if we dawdle a bit, they might not be as...
All right, well, let's see what happens for next week then.
Thank you. Volunteer Fair Open House update. Carolyn's been working with Stacy and Karen in planning for this event. Target is for a fall date once the kids are back in school and vacations are most likely over. So you'll recall this is the idea of having an open house with all boards, commissions, and departments, so people that are either have been here forever and have never had the opportunity to see what the Council on Aging does, or the Select Board does, or new folks in town that are interested in just getting a walkthrough and seeing what we do and how we do it and where the volunteer opportunities are. They have one place, one-stop shop where they can come in, grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and walk through, cider probably, September. Walk through and talk to people and pick up a volunteer.
Cider donuts.
There you go. So that's the update on that one. Training. Our town council, KP Law, provides 2 free seminars or training sessions per year. At your meeting, you've asked to have the video recording that we made of the ethics and open meeting law sessions uploaded to the town's YouTube. This has been done, and an email's been sent out to employees as well as board and commission members encouraging them to view them.
Did I get that email? Because I don't remember it.
I actually sent it to all the board members. I just sent you a separate one, not the one to all the boards, but I actually put it on your webpage too. And I sent you a link to that on the website.
I don't remember getting that. Okay.
And additionally, Selectman Miller had asked about the types and topics that KP Law covers in these trainings. I've enclosed a list for your consideration, so it wasn't enclosed over the weekend, but today, in the thing that was emailed out, there is this document that
Okay.
shows the types of trainings that they've done in the past and would do again.
That'll be a good thing to ask the other town councils too.
Goals and objectives. On Friday, I wrote, I'm finalizing the suggested deliverables tied to each of the overarching goals you've identified. I should have a document for your review this evening. And when Sue came in before the meeting, I buttonholed her and said, I'm struggling to try to find the deliverables to make sense of some of these goals and objectives. So Sue's agreed to sit with me over the next week sometime and take a crack at that together. So my hope would be at the next meeting, which could be next week, that we'll have at least the good college try at it. Miscellaneous updates. Chairman Lucio had asked for a copy of the listing of all town assets and properties. I've enclosed such a document. And the documents that you received in your packet were good. The one you received by email today is better.
You can
This
tell
is-
it's updated.
Yeah, this is updated as of today. Lori received it from the auditors. So you have on this one document, everything from books that we have as assets to pieces of land, and everything in between. So Sue had requested that we get this loaded onto the town website. Lori, if it's not there now, it should be there now, but
I put it in.
it is.
Is it on Lori's page? Oh, 'cause so it's the accountant's
Yeah,
page.
I made a new click so you can add to it too if you wanted to put other capital asset reports in there.
Okay.
So this document, for those that would be inclined to,
I think we should do an inventory.
Huh?
Of the assets.
that's what this is.
That's what this is.
No, I mean, is it, but some of the stuff, is it really there?
Yeah.
Water piping,
Is, well, I know that's there. Well,
water tank,
I'm
pump
assuming that's
stations.
there. There's just-
Buildings are there.
Okay.
You're talking about, you're talking about shelf stock.
Well, yeah, some of the things that, that move.
Right.
Buildings and piping don't move.
Right.
I mean,
No, there, I
just
mean,
to
there
see,
are the antique piano, the rolling
Things like that.
safes, the copier, scanner, printers, those are all in here.
no, but are they, I know they're in there, but are they, wherever it
Do
is
they
that they're
exist?
parked?
Yes, they do.
Well, yeah, because it was the auditors that did this.
Oh, is it?
Yes, this was done by the auditors.
Oh, okay, so this isn't
So
just stuff
this was
that's
the
just been
inventory.
carried on the books?
No.
This has
No.
actually been inventoried by audit, oh, okay.
Yes.
All right,
It's
never
also
mind.
insured.
Huh?
It's also insured whether it's through our inland marine, special floater, or
Okay,
in the
good.
case of the antique piano.
All right. Where is that antique piano?
Stage.
Oh, it's on the stage. Never mind, I've seen it. Okay.
So
You have to get a special arts floater for things like that.
it's interesting how much land we don't have that we have.
Sure.
There will be questions about that.
A lot of the land is conservation.
Well, see, I think
That's
that's...
the part that Sue asked.
That's what I'm saying.
If that as a subcategory can be shown in terms of what restrictions exist.
Yeah.
Now, in my experience with master plans, you would see that. You would see, for open space or land assets, these are the parcels owned by the town, when it was taken, what it's held for, if it's conservation restricted, or if it's open space
Exactly.
and passive recreation. So my expectation would be that you'll see that blown out in the master plan report.
Well, I mean, we had somebody stop in one day when I was here, talking about a dog park potential, and some folks are interested in working on something like that. Well, if you did a cross-reference on some of these, there may be some parcels that would be appropriate for that, instead of just the obvious ones
Right.
that folks know about. So I think it's good information, but somehow to be able to work on a cross-reference would be nice too. That might be a land use project, but,
One of the other ways that I've seen this depicted is on a GIS. So you actually have the town map and everything pops in red or whatever color you pick as
so who
town
would do
overlay.
that,
I'd
the
like to
land use?
see GIS stuff on our website. A lot of towns have really great
We do have,
information.
we do have an arrangement with MRPC for, their version is called Mr. Mapper.
Yeah.
We can use it internally, so I know that it exists. We've had some discussions with assessing about getting it out online. So I think,
Some towns
again,
do,
that's a
it's really
part of the
awesome.
master plan. They are talking about putting that out there, but it is more common than not now to have all of your assessors parcel information and through GIS.
Yeah. It'd be nice to be able to look at it that way, if people have a thought about something, and especially, now that the master plan is being discussed, I think it's prompting folks to have ideas.
Sure.
So, good, thank you for that.
All right, next is the Craven Field update. I've spoken with the president of the Baseball Association, Keith Turgeon, as recently as last Friday. He advises that both he and Kim Craven, representing Mr. Craven, have developed a plan for the property they believe will meet everyone's needs. They're scheduling with the building commissioner, zoning officer to review it on site prior to presenting it to the neighbors for their consideration. He just wants to make certain before they start walking around as a group with neighbors that they're not proposing something that, for a reason that they're not aware, isn't doable.
Okay. I just want to keep it informed about that,
Absolutely.
so maybe another update next
Yep.
month.
And then on the agenda proper, I think I had another thing or two. Let me see.
We had a retirement you were going to talk about.
Yes, that was the note that I have right here. We have had an employee in the police department, Sergeant John Johnson, that has been with us for a good long time. And he'd been talking since, I've been here for 2.5 years, he's been talking about retiring. And had mused about, I'm going to put it in next month or next June. And the musings got more fervent and more frequent over the last couple of months. And I was informed last Thursday by the chief that he, in fact, had put his paperwork in, and his last effective date was last Friday. Too short of a notice to have something meaningful done by this board. Didn't want to provide short coverage to something that deserve better attention. So my hope would be that you'll agree to allow me to schedule something for your next meeting or the one thereafter, whichever works best for Mr. Johnson.
Well, we wanted to try to keep next week's abbreviated, so that might, and because there's a police function going on.
Sure.
It's not going to work. So how about the following
Sure.
meeting, please?
And just have something perhaps, early.
Invite them to
Early
come
on,
in.
invite the sergeant, his family, anyone he'd like to have come, and just give him appropriate recognition for his years of service.
Little proclamation thing, too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Nice, good. We wish him well, but we'll wish him formally well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I read it Friday. I said, I didn't know.
Yeah.
But nobody,
It's been talked about so often, I think that people started to hear about it and think it was just one of those other times it was being suggested and thought about, but wasn't.
Yeah, when I saw the letter, I'm like, is he really doing it this time?
Yeah, good for him.
okay, all set?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
4.2, Board of Selectmen announcements, updates, and reports. Cindy?
I get the duty of reading Betty May's announcements. I have 2 of them.
Oh,
Because.
why do we have 2?
Well, I could skip one. And do it in our abbreviated meeting.
Okay. Because that's for going forward?
That's next,
Okay.
that
So we can do
Thursday,
that Tuesday
I'll
night?
do- Or Wayne can do it Tuesday night.
That's right.
I'll do this one. I can't let him get off the hook that easy. Okay, the Friends of the Townsend Seniors and the Friends of the Townsend Library will co-host the lawn party at the Townsend Military Band's Thursday evening, August 2nd. That's this Thursday, concert on the Townsend Common. The Friends of the Townsend Seniors will be selling pulled pork sandwiches, hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, and fresh fruit salad to hungry concert goers. They will also have cold soda and bottled water available for purchase. Of special interest to concertgoers will be the opportunity to obtain copies of the Friends of the Townsend Seniors Cookbook at the Friends of the Townsend Seniors membership information table set up at the Common during the concert. The Friends of the Townsend Library will be offering popcorn, a wide variety of home-baked goods, and some high-quality used books for sale. The Friends of the Townsend Library will also have a recruitment table. Children attending the August 2nd concert may play in a bounce house and have their face painted. They may also smash noodles with a hammer while wearing goggles. Googles. No, it says Googles. Did Betty May type this? Anyway, pick a lollipop in hopes of winning a prize and try their luck at the potluck game. The Townsend Military Band will open its concert at 7:30 by playing Hall's Northeastern March and Longfield's arrangement of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Yoder's arrangement of the highlights from Oklahoma, Lavender's arrangement of the March from 1941, and Kirshner's arrangement of the theme from New York, New York will be performed. It's a long, long way to Tipperary by Williams, and Judge and Barry's arrangement of American Legion March will be included in the first portion of the concert. Following intermission, Bagley's National Emblem March and Toccata for Band by Erickson will be played. Holcomb's arrangement of California Dreamin' and Holt's First Suite in E-flat for Military Band will be performed before the band concludes its concert at 9:30 p.m. by playing the Star Spangled Banner.
Thank you.
You're welcome, that's all I have.
I have nothing. I have no correspondence that the board wanted to bring to the rest of the board's attention. 4.4, approve and release the executive session minutes for July 18th, 2018, and we got a revised copy.
Yes, the revised was emailed to you earlier today.
Yeah, and I think
should have
I
been included in the
Put it at the
update
bottom.
pack.
And I wasn't here, so I'm gonna have to abstain from voting, so I don't know if we need to wait
Actually,
till
we
next
can't
Tuesday.
vote on it then until
Well, an
Wayne.
abstention counts as a vote, so it would still be a majority vote.
Okay.
One
It
yes
would?
and one abstention, sure.
Really?
Well, it doesn't count as a descending vote.
So the vote would be
Okay, if you wanna do that.
1-0-1.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we approve the executive session meeting minutes for July 18th, 2018.
And I abstain.
No, you can
need to
second it.
second
Oh,
So
wait,
it gets
the
on the
second,
table.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, second that.
And all those in favor? Sulicio saying aye,
Cindy King abstains because I wasn't here.
so the motion carries. 4.5,
Make a motion to review and sign the payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5, executive session, votes may be taken. Would you like to make a motion?
Okay, make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position or litigating position, and the chair so declares.
And the chair declares.
And that's AFSCME, Council 93, Clerical Union, Supervisory Union, Police Union, Highway Water Union.
And I will second that. We will not be returning to open session, right? That's in the
Amended-
motion.
So amended that we will
And
adjourn
seconding
from
the
the
amendment.
executive session.
Roll call vote, please.
Cindy King, yes.
Sulicio, yes. And,
This will be very brief.
okay,
So
so
So we won't be coming back.
we
That's-
won't, and if we
that's
can just
correct.
keep the room for